you know how you can look at somebody and be like, how can they be me? I look at myself many times and I'm just like, man, God, you're so patient. Like if it was not me, like if I was God, I would take myself out. I'd be like, apana huya metuchosha, now out. But I mean, he's just been patient. I don't think I have been I've never hidden the fact that before I came into an actual relationship with God, I was ratchet. You know, not now I'm like ratchet, but with Jesus, and he's like, you know, changing all of that. A major part of who I am is my faith. That's a huge part of my life, of my identity. Like I don't know how to exist, or there's no me outside of God. Usually my son he won't come and say those kinds of things or questions. Usually I'm the one who has to initiate them. And like that's the harder part. Like but with my daughter, she'll come and ask, Mom, my friend said, Mom, why don't I have a dad like other people have dads? I know that you said God is my father in heaven, but like I want a dad who can like lift me up and like play with me and come to school and do things with me.
God's grace has been sufficient for you, because you used to share how you even never used to get sleep at some point. You were like, that like thing
2 weeks
really,
of no sleep.
Yeah, that thing really like messed you up. So I'm really sorry about that. So how was that, and how did the kids take it?
Yeah, well, hey, so much to unpack there. But it was a very hard period, and I think that interesting. I was talking to my sister Joan the other day, and just talking about how grief comes in waves. Yes, because it's just fine, then all of a sudden you're just like, oh my God.
Yeah, there are times. I don't think it disappears. I don't think grief ever like.
Yeah. What's most important for her to know is that she was conceived in love. Yes, there was this person who loved her and you know was there in her life and and then this happened, and of course she needs age appropriate information. Yeah. She understands the fact that, okay, she had an earthly dad and now he's no longer here and all those different things. And that's enough.
Hey awesome viewers, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Lilian Zawadi, and as always this is the platform where we talk about life lessons, life experiences, and everything in between. I hope you guys have been well. Thank you so much for the continuous love and support on my channel. Thank you for 7K subscribers. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for the positive feedback and the comments you guys are always sharing on my on the comment section. Thank you so much for believing in what I'm doing, and thank you so much for sticking around. If it's the first time here, please click the subscribe button. Don't forget to comment and share, and even tell your loved ones to subscribe. I'm sure they won't get bored when they come on here. You'll learn a thing or two. And for those of you who are still here and here to watch this episode, thank you so much, and continue sticking around. And so today, guys, this episode is in honor of Mother's Day, and I wanted to share a conversation with someone very interesting. You guys are not ready. I'll let her introduce herself, and then I can let you guys know how I met her. So kindly introduce yourself.
Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you for coming and accepting the invite.
Well, I mean, I could not say no. I think I was telling you before we started shooting, there are places where I feel like, oh, that one will require a lot more thinking, a lot more, you know, like kujisaik to be able to come. But this one was not one of those. Like as soon as I read your message, I was like, yes, automatically, yes. I just want to.
So humble.
I just want to be here. So thank you.
You're most welcome.
So much for having me.
Tell the people who you are and what you do.
All right. Yes. So my name is Angie Obwaka, and I am many things to many people. I am career-wise, I'm an HR consultant and career coach, and I am so passionate about helping people be able to thrive in their careers and not to just survive. Historia kusema tu nangangana tu. We're just niko tu hustle, you know, and then we just like this depressed sort of mood, and everybody understands. No, please. I just don't believe it. You know, we spend about 70% of our lives in our work. True. So it better be something that you at least enjoy. Not every day will be happy and party, but at least something where you're feeling. Do you feel like you're in your passion?
Why are you talking to me?
I just want to ask. I'm just sensing that I should ask you this question.
You're like talking to me. Okay, so we'll deal with that.
We'll talk about it.
Talk about it
later on.
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm really passionate about that, and just helping people see themselves in a different way or see the opportunities differently, just so they can be able to make that step. Because many people are stuck and they don't feel like they can be able to make that step. So partnering with them, whether it is at an individual basis or helping organizations. So that's sort of like my career trajectory. Although the Lord now came and introduced this Bible side. So I am what do you call it? A digital evangelist, let me say that, or digital missionary. So I'm very passionate about telling people about Jesus and teaching and preaching and all those different things, online and also in person. I am just about to graduate from Bible school.
Nice.
We are studying missions. Yay, yay.
Yay, now you'll be doing it physically, not on the digital platform.
No, not a digital, no. I actually feel my own passion and calling is on online.
Digital.
Yeah, because that's where most people are. Whether they're young, they're old, what wanasemanga ni Gen Z peke yako online. But the amount of time you see old people on forwarding fake news. Ndio how even them they need.
Messages,
exactly. Forwarded, you're like, where did you get this information? So I'm very passionate about that space. I also, I am a mom.
Oh, yes.
To two amazing children. They are so fantastic.
Yes, they are.
You know, I tell people, like, some people just endure their children. Okay, they're just here, now we're tolerating them. I really love my children. They are my source of entertainment. They're such good friends of mine. They're just incredible people. I literally can't imagine that I get to be in their lives and I get to see like how God is unpacking who they are, and it's in my hands. Sometimes I'm just like, God, why did you imagine that I am the one for them? But I absolutely love them. My son Yeshua is going to be 16 in June next month, and my daughter Nasha is going to be 7 in September, so she's 6 now. Wow. So I love being a mom. I love them a lot. I am a sister. I am a friend. I am a daughter. I am, but by daughter, but they're also firstborn daughter. Let me just say firstborn. I am the leader of that charge. I'm deputy parent in our family. And I'm born again, and I love Jesus, and I love to tell people about him, and many other things.
Wow.
And content creator.
Oh, yes.
Watch anirushe up here because I keep forgetting that one. I'm a content creator, and I create faith-based content and around family, fun, and just all those things. Yeah.
Wow, guys, I told you she's many things. She's many nice things. And now let me tell you guys how I got to know Angie. So I follow her sister. Like she has a sister. She has three sisters. Three sisters. She's the eldest, and I follow one of her sisters, Murugi Munyi. I'm a very big fan of Joanne, and I've been following her for a long time. Shout out Joanne.
Yes, from the time she was Yummy Mommy.
Yeah, from the time she was Yummy Mommy.
You're an OG. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been following her for some time, and then I remember, like you guys are like very close. You guys, and I remember she used to post you. So sometimes she used to post you, and then she would tag you. So I just, you know, just how when you're scrolling through and then you'll see someone tag someone there, and then you're curious to see, let me just click on that person. And so I clicked on your name, and then I went to your profile, and then I was like, I just liked your content from just there, you know. And then I think, you know, your daughter Nashe, she's just like a sweet girl, yani.
The whole personality.
That baby, like the mtoto wetu wa internet, I could say, you know, like we follow her, and she has very interesting stories from how from her tooth fairy tale. I followed all those things. Yeah, and so when I got to your page, I saw the content that you post, the spiritual side, the fun side, the way you are a good mom to your kids, and then so that's how I got to follow you, and I was like interested. I just clicked on your nini, and then I followed you, and then from now on, like every time, you know, there's an algorithm that Instagram has when you keep following someone. I mean, when you keep looking for stories from someone's need, it keeps bringing you the same stories. So now it used to bring me your stories like every other day. So every time you post something, I'll just see it. I'll just see your content.
You're one of the best followers because just always engaging. See wale wanani. I usually call them monitoring spirits. Yeah, they're just looking to see what's happening. But you're always engaging.
Yeah,
so
I am,
awesome.
because I really love your content. You really like inspire me in how you the reason I was so glued to your page, I'm still glued to your name, is because of how you parent your children, is because of also how you present yourself even with the things of God, and also just how you're not like you know, there are also Christians who spiritualize everything, like you're so strict, like you can't even have fun. And then there's this notion that also that people who are born again are boring, some things like that.
It's a lie.
Yeah, so like even like just seeing you have fun on your channel and everything, like it's just a good thing to see. So I guess that's why I was just impressed, and I was like, I love her content. I'll always look to follow and see what's she posting, and even the encouraging things that you also post about God, like they really minister to me personally. And so that's how I got to follow you. And yeah, so now we are
Thank you,
guys. I can't believe like we are here. I just commented on one of her stories about her parenting. She was still with, I think, your son, I think, and then I commented something. I was like, I really love what you do. I really love the connection between you and your children. And I was like, I'd really want to interview you. And it's so funny how, you know, how the things of God, I keep saying the things of God are just not forced, you know, and they won't bring you sorrow, and you won't have to keep like you're forcing a conversation, because she just messaged me and even just left her number there. And guys, we are here. So today, let's have a conversation about everything. So thank you for honoring this invite, and thank you for coming. And let's just talk about everything that you've mentioned.
Everything is on the table. Anything and everything is on the
table. So we
table.
can just start about like, who is Angie outside your profession and outside your parenting? Who are you as a person? Who would you say you are as a person?
Who am I as a person?
Yeah.
Well, I think a major part of who I am is my faith. That's a huge part of my life, of my identity. Like I don't know how to exist, or there's no me outside of God. I think sometimes I think like people who don't have a relationship with God, like how are you navigating? Like where is the peace of mind? How are you sleeping? How are you waking up? Because the world is crazy and
so many things
just don't
on
make
in
sense.
This world.
Yeah, so I really am a lover of God, like completely. I love God because he loved me when I didn't deserve loving. And I mean, I know, you know how you can look at somebody and be like, how can they be me? I look at myself many times and I'm just like, man, God, you're so patient. Like if it was not me, like if I was God, I would take myself out. I would be like, apana huya metuchosha, now out. But I mean, he's just been patient. I don't think I have been I've never hidden the fact that before I came into an actual relationship with God, I was ratchet. You know, not now I'm like ratchet, but with Jesus, and he's like, you know, changing all of that, and he has been changing that for a number of years. But before then, I just lived unto myself. I just did what I wanted to do. Life just didn't make sense. It was just about me, myself, and I. But God loved me, and God gave my life purpose, and so everything about me is through the lens of God.
Wow.
So yes, I am a lover of God, and I am the kind of person who, once I try something, and I think you can even attest from my social media, once I try something, whether it's food or it is a new place, I just want to tell people, like, guys, you need to taste this. Guys, you know, like,
that's true. That's very true.
I'm that kind of person. And so I'm very passionate about telling people about God and just like telling them the right side of God. You know, like what you're saying about kwa Yesu hakuna raha, or things like, I'm just like, that's a lie. Like, guys, come and see how awesome it is. Come and see how this is making sense for me. I'm also I'm a very passionate person, like whether it's about God or anything else. I'm a foodie. Hey. Napenda chakula. Napenda chakula.
I keep seeing the stories. Joan keeps tagging you, Silo Rakula, and then you're like, you're sometimes pushing the plate. Isikai kama ni yako.
Yangu yote. Ama ifunika one side. But I like food. I really like food. Maybe it's my Luya nani, genetics and my relatives. I like food, but I like food. I like good food. And I like cooking a lot. I love cooking. Like I just like if I make you a good meal, I just want to sit there and watch you just enjoy it and just to be wowed. Because I think I'm a really good cook.
You're such a fast born.
Yeah, just taking care of people. You just be like, let me just make people happy with the things I'm making. And so I'm a foodie, like in terms of eating, but also just creating meals for people. I love life. I also love life a lot. Like I love to experience life. I think on my profile, one of my scriptures that I love is John 10:10. You know, it says, Jesus said, I came that they may have life and life more abundantly. Like, I don't believe that life is for tolerating and struggling through and just, not to say that all of life is just laughing and happy and whatever, but I actually believe that God wants us to enjoy life in Him, like with the right perspective. Like I want every part of my life, ni enjoyment too.
True.
Like even in school, when I'm struggling with whatever it is, this which papers, but I'm enjoying what I am studying. I'm enjoying the prep I have to do. I'm enjoying my kids. I'm enjoying time with my siblings. I'm enjoying today. I'm enjoying the rain. Okay, it sucks that it's raining and tunanuliwa stima. But what part of, how can I enjoy it? Like what part of it can be funny, can be entertaining, can be like, so I'm a lover of life. I love creating content. I love silliness. Somebody told me the other day, you're the most chilled firstborn I've ever met. I'm like, yeah. He said, yeah, you behave like a lastborn. Then I was like, that started like a compliment, but it's now in the kama ikienda chini. But I'm just like it's just never that serious. It's never that serious. Like, okay, it's a very serious issue. We deal with it, but also life will move on and things like that. So I really enjoy TikTok. I enjoy making funny videos. I enjoy laughing at very silly things. And not taking myself seriously because at the end of the day, whether you're serious or not serious, we end up in one direction. That's very true. Life will end, and then others will come, and
that's amazing. That's amazing. So tell me, when did you get born again, and how has your journey been since then? And do you are there things that you used to do then that you miss right now that you think just demystify this notion that Christianity or being born again is boring, but you can just start by telling us how or when you got born again and how your journey has been to this moment.
Okay, I got born again in 2008 when I was 20. So watu wa math, fanyeni math. Nimeshamaliza shule. So I grew up in a Christian home. So we went to church. We did all the things. Went to church. We had even the extra, the vacation Bible school. So in the holidays, we're doing church stuff. We went for teen camps. My grandparents are born again. So even when we used to go and visit them, we used to just do so many churchy things. So like I was born again. I was born into a Christian family. So in terms of understanding the Bible, memorizing scripture, doing all the churchy things, I knew them. But it was only when I was 20 that I actually came through a crisis of my life that I'll talk about now, that I came to actually understand what does it actually mean to be a Christian, to be born again myself, because kuna ile sentiment because I'm not Muslim, because I'm not Hindu, because I'm not, so I'm a Christian, or I have a Christian name, so that's what it is. But just being able to understand for myself, so this salvation thing means that all of us are sinful and all of us need to make a decision to be reconciled to God. And I was like, okay, so then I made that decision. I got born again at a moment when I had a crisis. So I had gone through primary school, high school. After I finished high school, I took a sort of a gap year-ish. And then I did IB, which is almost like pre-university, but kind of situation. By the time I was finishing IB in my last year, the last bits of my IB, so maybe like September, October, can't even name the months. I got pregnant. I was dating this guy, and then one thing led to another.
Wow.
I can't say
20 years.
That time I was 19 because I gave birth when I was 20.
Oh, but you had finished school.
I finished high school, and then I was just about to finish this IB program. Okay. And so I can't say I fell pregnant or something just accidentally, as if we know from biology what happens. And so in that whole process of I was still just doing life my own way. Still doing like churchy things, but just living my life the way I wanted. And then I had my son. And when I had my son, it was sort of like a point of like, by the way, this is life, like this is real life kind of situation. And it was not even just the having my son, but also coming to the place where I needed to take responsibility for my life, and not even for his sake, because some people say like, no, I need to get my life in order. It was not that. It was just more like, okay, I've reached this place. One, okay, I've really angushed God. I've really angushed my family. Again, like I said, I'm firstborn, so it's like, what kind of example are you setting
for the others?
But me, I used to tell my parents, me, I didn't choose to be firstborn. So that pressure you're going to bring for people here,
it's not for you.
That's up to you. I didn't choose, so relax with that pressure.
So by this time, you're still living with them, with your parents.
Yeah.
And you've told them that you're pregnant.
No, I didn't tell them. God told my mom 10 days to me giving birth. Yeah.
Kwani, it was hidden.
Look, now for example, look at this dress.
Oh, you kept wearing.
If you see this dress, even I can be at 10 months, forget 9 months, 10 months, and you won't know.
Never know, for real.
Exactly. Yeah.
It was invisible.
No. But one time, I've just remembered this story because usually I don't even remember this part of the story. One time, my sister Joanne Murugi, we were at it was Sunday after church or whatever, and she touched my stomach. She said, "Hey, Angie, when you're pregnant." I smacked her hand
like a
so
joke.
yeah. I smacked her hand so hard. I was like, you're a weapon fashioned against me. Why are you trying to? I'm telling you. So, but she says she sort of like knew.
Excuse me, that's fine. But you're a weapon fashion.
Exactly. I was just like, what are you even? I smacked her hand. I was so angry with her. I wouldn't even have a good relationship back then. And so, but my dad is a gynecologist, obstetrician.
Yeah.
And so he says, like 2 or 3 times he thought that he saw me looking pregnant, but he was just like, Apana, I've just seen so many women in the week, like obviously so many people.
Because parents do know. I think, I don't know how, but parents for some reason they'll always tell you. Because even I remember my dad once told me he knew that I was pregnant with my second baby, and I
even before you knew, or
before
you told anyone.
Before I told them. So like I was going society, you know how you prepare yourself. You're saying today I'm going to visit my parents. Today's the day I'm going to tell them. And he's like, I already knew. I'm like, how? And like how you're saying when they're clothes you wear, you can't easily tell it's yes. So I'm like, I think parents always know. So maybe that's how. Maybe for some reason he knew.
Yeah. But he told himself, no, it's his mind that's cheating him, whatever. So he just left it. So 10 days to me giving birth, my mom and my dad have traveled to the UK, and God gives her a word. A word, a vision. I can't remember what exactly it was, but God told her. Imagine. Me, I didn't tell her. He told her.
Like you walked through that journey 9 months without telling them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But it was mostly because I was in denial.
Then that seems like you had a very smooth pregnancy.
Very.
Like you never had the morning sickness.
When people tell me, even with my daughter, when people tell me about morning sickness,
you don't
I have
relate.
no idea what that is.
Oh wow, that's so nice.
Poleni.
Oh, okay. So now when after mom tells you that, that's when.
Yeah. Then now we start explaining to them who.
So she comes to you and tells you this is what I saw.
Yeah, she says, Angie, but my mom, she's so gracious, so she just says like just kindly
she's
like.
Such a sweet lady. Yeah, I follow her.
Like, yeah. Is this? How are you doing? Is there any chance this could be the lady? Did I agree? Me with all the attitude here with my neck. This is what you think about me.
I love when you know the attitude. Your time, you go,
attitude.
You don't even,
because I told you I was ratchet, guys.
Your hormones.
Exactly. Like, so I was already such a ratchet teen. Like I was the worst kind of teen. Like, when you think about it, but not Christian. Like on Sunday, I'm going to church. Okay. And I know the things which we do in church. I know how to dress in church. Yes. I know how we're praying. I know how I know all the things for church. But during Monday to Saturday, I am the complete opposite. Yeah. If Sunday I'm subscribed to this channel of Jesus, from Monday to Saturday, it's a different kingdom. Wow. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
Yeah. Let's not be too harsh.
Yeah.
So that was me Monday to Saturday. So that's. So but as a teen, I was the idea when they say teenagers will give their parents stress. Yeah, it was me. I was the poster child. Wow. I could have run a workshop, masterclass. Me, my goodness, I can't even imagine the number of tears and prayers my mom prayed, and with her prayer partners. I mean, there's so many of my mom's prayer partners who, like, when they see me, they're just so happy. Like, just look at them, like,
see how you turned out.
Like, I probably look around and just like, my God,
wow,
God answers prayer. Here she is.
Like a true answered prayer, a walking answered prayer.
Exactly. Wow. Completely. Just like, hey, who are you? If God can do this one, there's
nobody he can change.
Exactly. So at that point, now of course I have all that attitude. I'm not getting along with my mom. Life is just chaotic. But after now of course I have my son. I thank God it was painless. Yeah. Not painless. It was smooth. It was a smooth delivery and stuff. And it was like 10 minutes. So during the day I had my contractions kidogo. By the time it was the time for delivery, 5-10 minutes, the baby was out.
But this time your parents have already come back.
Yes. Or they came as soon as the day they came back, which was a Sunday. They came back on a Sunday. I delivered my son not that week Wednesday, the next week Wednesday.
Next week, okay.
Yeah. So now I talked to my mom on Sunday. I deny everything, even as she's asking. But then Monday morning she wakes up and finds a note under her door. I told her, yeah, actually, it's true.
Seriously.
But my parents were so gracious. They were just like, okay, fine. As in that's one of the things. Like growing up in that home taught me a lot in terms of even parenting, in terms of democracy, and just being patient with my kids and just hearing them out, because that's the kind of parents they were. They were never just yelling. I don't even think I've ever had my dad yell in my whole life. Even my mom.
For real?
Never.
Okay.
Never. Lakini kuchapa nilikuwa nikichapa. My dad was heavy on the, discipline. Spare the rod, spoil the child. My dad. And then he was not beating with the kiboko. It was his hands. And
Actually, the hands of a man, when they
were huge. I usually tell people, like, when my dad would hit you, like, let's say he's spanking you, like because his hand is so big, inaenda tu ikifuatilia, just like, so you're running as you're jumping like this, it's like follow up. Hey.
I relate because once my dad slapped me at it was, how you open school, you're in high school and you don't want to, schools have opened and you're there, you're supposed to open on Monday, but danganyana, you've told your parents, we open on Wednesday. So I've not even undone my braids. So he's just there asking me, when are you going back to school? I'm like, on Wednesday. But I was told the schools have already opened. Me, I'm telling you, the slap that came on my face, I think that is the only one time my dad ever slapped me or hit me. Like, the slap was so hard, mpaka I started feeling dizzy. As in, that's how you remember when it's your dad disciplining you. So I can just relate.
Wait. I'm sure your ears were ringing. Your face was hot.
I was like, this dad of mine doesn't even love me. Like,
he tried to kill me.
I was dizzy because of that slap. So I definitely relate with that spark.
I'm telling you. So now also we had a sit down and whatever, and they were just like, yeah, we'll support you. Whatever you want to do, we'll support you, Nini. Of course, my dad is asking me about, okay, so which doctor have you been seeing? What's her name?
By the way, this time, because you've not even been...
sip my coffee. My sugarless coffee.
Because this time you've not even told them a whole 9 months. Is there someone who worked with you through that journey? Like, going to clinic and things like that?
It's funny you should ask. The question you should be asking is, did I go for any clinics?
Did you go?
No.
Wow, a whole 9 months.
Yeah.
Like, where ulikuwa tu hapo tu and just wait.
In denial. I was actually in denial. It was like I was just thinking, if I don't talk about it, it's not there.
What was going on in your mind? Like, did you feel ready? Okay, I don't know.
Definitely not. Ready. Because I was in denial. I was just like, if I
ignore
it, it won't be there. It's just like it doesn't exist.
Okay.
Yeah, that was me the whole time. So whether it was going out partying, whether it was drinking, whether it was I was doing everything.
And you were still partying while...
Yeah.
Wow.
Hard.
All right.
Hard. And I was not like an average... People who know me know that this is the thing I was telling you at the beginning about passion.
Yeah.
I'm very passionate about everything I do.
You do.
So if we're going drinking, I am drinking. What? I remember in high school... It's so bad. It's so bad. But anyway... in high school,
you're not who you used to be.
Exactly, the Lord has. This is how you know the Lord has brought me from far. In high school, we used to sneak in alcohol to school, right? And we're not sneaking in. Me, I don't want something that. I look at the percentage bottle. I must look at the percentage. Anything below. When you're drinking wine, 12 and below. 12. 12, I could go and drink my sanitizer or something like that, like, or perfume. No, 40% upwards. That's 40%. And there's no chaser, we're not mixing suji with what we're drinking.
Dry. Okay.
There's a time we brought in alcohol, but we're like, we might not get high, me and my roommate. What do we do?
You were in boarding?
I was in boarding school. What do we do? Now we go, hey, God, I hope I'm not giving anyone ideas. If the idea enters your mind, I cancel it in Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name.
We go to the kitchen and we boil water. So if the water is boiling, we're putting the alcohol inside, in the bottle, inside the kettle, so that it gets hot. Because when it gets hot, sasa the potency is nani vizuri now. We're boiling alcohol so that we can ensure that what we have will be as potent and as nani as possible. Like I enjoyed. I was and I enjoyed. Like thoroughly. Like if you're going to drink at how many, I will do more.
Okay.
I will enjoy, I will drink, I will. Yeah, and it was nice. I just waking up without hangover. It was just good. The recovery was quick, then and repeat, and repeat, and repeat. Yeah. So so no clinic.
Yeah. No clinic.
We're just enjoying life. I had finished high school, I'd taken or even not after I finished my IB, I'm working somewhere. I'm doing like internship sort of thing, like because I have taken a gap year.
Yeah.
And so I'm just enjoying. I'm going to work, I'm making some money, and we are enjoying the money. And so now when my dad is asking me that, I'm like, I haven't seen anyone. His eyes just go like, okay. But my dad is the most calm person in life, so he's just, everything is always like, it'll be fine. It'll be, even as growing up as kids, we used to be, you know, when people say, "Ati, my head is paining, do my what?"
Yeah.
My dad has medicine for everything. Everything,
Okay.
even my elbow has a nanny. Yeah, we'll just take this antibiotic and you're going to school. We'll just, and you'll be fine.
Wow.
And we're going to school.
Yeah.
So he's always just very calm and calming. So he's like, okay, fine. Connected me to a gynecologist. So the gynecologist, everything was fine with the baby.
Yeah.
And then the time came. Of course, have I even bought things for the baby? Have I even bought?
Yeah.
You know when they say Delulu?
I know.
Yeah.
Delulu is the Solulu.
Exactly. In that case, it was not the. Oh, it was the Solulu for a while, for 9 months.
For the
and
9
then at the end, it was
like reality had not checked in, kabisa.
Zero.
So now, like, there's this,
everything.
the need to go and start shopping for the
and all the things. And my parents were so supportive.
I can just imagine.
And
thank God for supportive parents,
I'm telling
man.
you.
Thank God.
Yeah. Because even after that, now I had my son, and in that journey now of parenting my son and getting used to all of that, because imagine this 9 months we haven't bonded.
Yes.
Even as a mom with your child, you're thinking about how my child look like. We haven't bonded because I'm just, the child doesn't exist. The child is growing in the stomach, but might as well be growing in a farm or in a shamba somewhere that I don't know, and I'm not even the gardener. You know, it's just it just so happens that it's my uterus, but I'm not even. So in that process now of now my son has come and all of these things, and because at the beginning I was just even thinking about, do I even want this baby or not? I had even taken tablets to stop the milk. Just to stop the milk, because I didn't want this whole breastfeeding thing and what
of the bonding.
Exactly, and I was just like, this is just like I don't know, the same way I just said this to my phone.
This time, so all this time that you're going through this, are you in good terms with your boyfriend back then?
At that time?
Yeah.
Yes and no. We're just like on and off. We're like on and off. He's like, oh, okay, this is happening. And, but that immaturity, you know, like in terms of, we haven't, of course, you're dating and you're doing all these things, but we haven't had the conversation or a thought of like what would happen if this would happen. And of course, you're not taking the necessary measures to make sure that you're not going to end up in this situation.
So are you angry at him? Are you guys talking?
No, I'm not angry. I've told him, he's just like, okay, cool, we'll see how it will be. And me, I'm just going on with my life, and him is going on with his life. He's asking questions from time to time and saying, oh, this is how I'm feeling. But then it's just like for a brief moment, because I don't want to think about it so much, because then it will be a reality. Of course, I don't want it to be a reality. And so at no point am I angry with him, at no point. So he's just there, but he's trying to figure out his life. I mean, because he's still a student as well. And you're slightly younger than me also. So so that wasn't helping the situation. So we're not in bad terms, but also our relationship just sort of like fizzles. Because now I've gone to this place, I'm working, and I'm just doing all these different things. So
and you have such good parents, because I remember us back in the day, like it's you know how our parents back in the day we want to see that guy, go bring him, go bring us that guy. We go to their parents, they tell us what is this, you know, like how it's so but I think with time things have changed so much. Like at least people have become so like informed with how life is going, like the generation, like after generation, like hakuna hizo vitu za at we want to like force, you know how we used to be forced. Now because you're pregnant with this person, you're forced to
marry them, even
like you're forced to marry them because you know, like they force you even to have a relationship or a friendship that probably is not even there. But thank God lakini that you had your parents supporting you and everything. And okay, so so now after that journey, so you're still with your parents, and
I'm still with my parents, and through now taking care of my son. Now my mom, of course, she's the one who's more actually even involved in like doing things. If it's bathing him and what, she's teaching me all these things. And for the first sort of time, we have like a good enough time, because not this 3 months, of course, I am at home.
Yeah.
And I think, was she doing consulting work, or I can't remember what work she was doing, but she was also able to be at home a lot of that time. And because of that, now we spend a lot of more time together. And then we start discussing these things of Christianity, because you had asked about how I got born again.
Yes.
And it was in that period. Because before, even though my mom, she's an ordained minister, she's a reverend, and even though she was so in churchy things, I used to feel like her Christianity or her faith was just there. Like, I couldn't understand. She was like an angel. She's like a deputy Jesus. Like, if you know,
why
up there.
Say that?
Because I mean, she was just so much in prayer and so much in churchy things.
Church things so much.
But I'm just like, how does this Sunday Christianity apply Monday to Saturday? Like, it just seemed so like removed. Like, if it was a God, Zilikatu, they were just for church times. But how does God apply on Monday? How does God apply when at work or at school or at whatever it is? You know, so I just used to feel like I could not relate with my mom. Like, I couldn't understand. And it was not because she was intentionally trying to be that person, but that's how I was viewing her. And so in this time, these 3 months that we're at home together and stuff like that, I start to see a different side of my mom in terms of, first, she says that God told her to walk closely with me and on 3 things, to love, light, and life, to show God's love, to just be the avenue of God's love to me, and life, to be able to share her life with me. So, of course, she was sharing parts of her life that I had never had, her story, and the things she's wrestling with, and things she's going through, and things like that. I'm like, oh, so you're a human being.
I know.
Like us. You are just a mere mortal, just like me.
Because in your mind you see her like perfect, like nothing is going on with her.
One day maybe I'll attain that sainthood, but you know, I could never. Exactly. And so I'm just like, oh, so she's sharing her life with me, and so I'm like, oh, okay,
you're able to resonate.
To resonate with her. And then also the other one was light, so the light of God's word. And so she's sharing on those 3 bases, and then at that point I'm just like, oh, actually, then I do want to follow this Jesus. Like, I do want to plug in with this God and see how I navigate my life now with him, because he has seen the worst and the worst of me. And if I'm still alive and I didn't die, then okay, let's try this one. And that's how I got born again in that particular journey. So that's been, now I'm 36. I recently turned 36.
Wow,
and so it's been 16 years, 16 years of walking with this God, and it's been amazing.
Wow.
It's been amazing. It has been periods of like wrestling and being like, hey, God, this doesn't make sense. Me, I thought this way. Then he's like, no, that one you just assumed about me. Or that one is not how it is. Periods of him breaking things and people and habits and nannies out from me. And also at the same time, because it's not just, because sometimes you think about like being in God, we lose all these awesome things, but it's also God giving me so much more than I deserved or could even imagine. It's like, wow, God, you mean even I could even have this, I could even do this, I could even go here. So it's been an amazing 16 years. There have been hard times, there have been joyous times.
Wow, but that's amazing. So now you started bonding with your son, and now like until now he's grown and you started having like a relationship. How did you make it intentional to like how you were going to parent him and like spending time with him and talking to him until now, like in a place where he understands, like how, you know, it's not every mother that bonds with their children. Like you, just the way you said, some parents, it's just like yes, because I'm a parent because I'm just your mother, but we don't like
biologically
have, because we don't have that bond, we don't talk, as in. So how did you ensure that you from that time going forward that you created a bond, and how intentionally did you do it?
That's a great question. Wow. Let me say, one of the things that helped was my mom's presence, you know, and so I think I'd encourage people, just the people you have around, support system, because sometimes it's not there. The feeling is not there. Whether it's intentional, like me, who was like, me, I don't know what's happening here. I'm just in this state of delulu. Or for some people, they have been in that journey, but your baby is born, and I've heard people's stories where I just don't feel connected to my baby. Like I don't know who this person is, and they want so much from me, and even resentment or postpartum depression. And that's a real thing. But I think the people around you have a lot to do in terms of being able to walk with you until you're at that place. So at the beginning, of course, my mom was doing a lot of that. And even in terms of building our relationship, I think that came much later, because yes, I was there for those first couple of months. So he was born in June of 2008.
Yeah.
In February of 2009, I left the country. Because after
for studies, yeah.
exactly, and my parents had just been like, you know what, we'll raise him, you go and continue with school, continue with all the things you do, we're going to support you, which I still think is just such an incredible gesture and grace from God towards me. You know, because I mean, they didn't have to, as in I'm an adult now, you know, pambana na hali yako sasa, you know, and I'm just so grateful for that. And so in the time that I was gone, pretty much my parents raised my son. As in, my son used to call my mom. Yeah, and call me and my siblings. Even until now, by the way, my kids call my siblings by their first names.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and even my sister's kids call
like not
us.
auntie or
Yeah,
something.
it's by first names. But that started when in the time that now I was away, because now my mom was his mom. Yeah. And it was all of that. And sort of in the time that I was away, I think we had this relationship where in his mind, he knew I was the mom, but still my mom was his mom.
But now you went when he was quite
even
young.
before he was 1, yeah. So that's June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, 8 months. At about 8 months.
Wow.
And I was gone for, I mean, I was coming every year. I was coming during,
every year.
Yeah, like maybe twice a year or once a year. But the first couple, maybe let's say like the first 3-4 years, or maybe 3 years, my mom and my dad were his parents primarily. Of course, I would contribute in terms of finances, in terms of maybe even just like buying clothes and things like that. But even going to school and him starting school was all my parents. At some point, I remember me telling my mom that, you know, I really don't think I am going to be, like, I don't know how to be a mom. Like, I just don't know. Like, when I look at my mom, she's so graceful. She's so like, I mean, everybody should have that mom. Like, should have her as a mom. Like, even sometimes I think, man, like, God, why didn't you give my kids to my mom? Because they would turn out better. And my mom just reminds me that, no, it's you. You're the one who God would have has wired for, specifically for them. And so I just used to remember thinking that I don't think I'll be able to be a good mom. And then I remember one time I was telling one of my sisters the other day that one of the things she said to me, like when we were younger, was something about like, you're such a bad mom. And that thing, like she just said it like he jokes, one of my sisters. Oh, okay. Yeah, staki kumulika, but she knows because we talked about it recently. That thing, like, you know, when you can say something to somebody and you don't know at that point in time, that's a thing that they're struggling with. That thing stuck with me for so long until another time I had to even ask God, like, just help me, God, just to get over this, because I feel like a bad mom. But I remember telling Mom, I don't know how to be a mom. And she's just like, it's okay, like, just ask God to help you and what. So by the time I was coming back, or in between there somewhere, I can't remember even where exactly that happened, but God had started working on my heart in terms of thinking about, okay, what does it look like to be a mom? Like what, because I used to think about, okay, do I have what it takes to be able to parent? If I was already not so great before he was born, I was already doing all these things. But then God was showing me that, yeah, you are chaotic at that point in time, but don't just view the chaos of how you were before. Look at also my hand in how I preserved his life. Because, I mean, there are people who do far less, and their children have significantly negative impact. But for whatever reason, God was gracious, and he was completely fine.
That's
everything.
A testimony by
I know.
itself.
And so God was just like, don't just look at how bad you are. Look at how my hand has carried you. And even with the rest of your mothering, it's not just about your inadequacies or what you can do in the situation. It's about my presence and how I will cover and I will hold and I will lift and I will make up the difference wherever you can't in your mothering. And so that's sort of like to heal me and stuff like that. I remember some of the things that, like, growing up, I really loved how our parents brought us up in the church. And so I was very intentional, even before I had gone to South Africa, to, like, get my child dedicated. You know, so, of course, taking him to church and just having the pastor know that I have this child and I want my child to be prayed for. Like, just, because it's not like baptism, but it's more like I'm giving this child to God, like consecrating, dedicating the child to God. So just being intentional about things like that. The schools, I think one of the things that I have been intentional about, because I think this, because I hadn't thought about this answer, my answer is all over the place, but just being intentional about the spaces I create for my child to get to know God, because I think my biggest saving grace has been God. And so I want my children to always just be in a space where they can find God for themselves, they can hear God, they can be surrounded. So even the schools, my children go to ACE schools. And so there's a lot of the word of God.
Yeah.
It's God all the
every
time, everything in all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And that I think has also really helped because it has helped when I don't have answers to questions for him to be able to be like, oh, there's this verse we read the other day and da 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 and this and something like that. When I got married, you know, when I first started dating my my husband, I had told him, you know, when he asked me out, I was like, I have a son. You know, I didn't want it to ever be a hidden thing and whatever. And even for my relationship with my son was still growing, I wanted him to know, and he was so gracious in like, oh, okay, take your time in deciding and stuff like that. So when I got married, of course, my son was one of the not flower boys, they call it page boys.
Page boys.
Exactly. And then now he moved in to live with us. He came to South Africa.
How old was your son that time?
5.
5.
Was 5.
So he could understand. Okay.
He could understand. Well, not quite.
Not
I don't even think he really understood. He was just like, oh, I'm going to live with mom and dad now.
Okay.
You know, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's just how he processed all of that. And he came to live with us. And
let me take you back a bit. When you travel to SA for studies, it was for studies.
Yeah.
So your baby is still young. Like, do you know how? Because right now you've already started bonding, right? Do you know how the it's called what, the separation anxiety or something? How was that for you? Like, were you like really content in your heart that it's okay? Okay, I know you have very supportive parents that time, and you knew you could leave them, but that kanini of a mom, like, were you feeling okay to just go? Ama you had that heaviness in your heart of I don't know, leaving my son. How it would be.
I don't think so. I don't think I can't remember ever having that. And I think it's because in as much as we are building our relationship, it still hasn't gotten to the place where I am completely immersed as a mother, like completely. I mean, like, of course, I'm doing all the things. We're doing the nighttime feedings. I'm doing all these different things. But there are so many people in my life, including my parents, my sisters. You know, that time they were just so excited with the baby in the house. They are just in all the things. My friends. So I'm not feeling like I am leaving my child and how will it be and not at all. If anything, I'm just like, I know, I'm very confident that he's happy and he's in the right place. Also, I think it was easier. I don't know if this is actually like nanny, but it was easier because I was not breastfeeding. You know, there's that pull and attachment that happens when you're breastfeeding. And so I wasn't doing that, and so maybe that also contributed.
It could be. It could be because it happens when you breastfeed. There's another serious bond because an attachment you feel because it's usually even hard, like when you go back to work, like letting, like, you know, that separation, like you have to go back to work and you're not like full time with your child. There's that anxiety that really eats you up, and you're like, am I a bad mom for leaving my child?
What are they doing now? You even imagine that they're crying at some time.
Exactly. It's like hallucinating. Sometimes you'll just like imagine like I think my baby is crying, and then you just continue making phone calls. But it's such a good thing that you had your mom there, and you felt like you could really trust her 100% with your child. Completely. It's such a good thing. So now your baby has already grown, and now you went back to dating. Now you are now in a good space with God, and now you got someone that understood you.
Exactly.
Take us through that.
Oh yeah, so that was good. Because I was just like, let me focus on my relationship with God. And
how
then
long did you stay in SA?
Many years, like 8 years, 9 years.
8.
No, even longer.
Well, but and this time
About
also, and this time also, your son is still is in Kenya, and you're there.
Oh, before he came after 5 years.
Also, at some point he came, he joined you.
Yes. Now when I gotten married, because I got married in South Africa.
Okay.
Yeah, so he came after 5 years. After 5 years he came. And so the time I'm dating, and I've already told this person that I have a son, and he's just like, exactly. And he was just very excited. He wanted to know things about him, and In fact, he was even like, one day when we get married,
I want us. Again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, well, he was in his Christian journey. Let me say that.
Yeah. Okay.
Christian journey, but he got born again. I think in that first year we were dating, which I don't advocate. I don't advocate for missionary dating. Let the people who are born again be married to born again, and then and minister to and evangelize to those who are not, and then we can start that dating process. But oh yes, so we start this journey of dating. Oh yes, so he says that when we get married, he wants to wait like 2-3 years before having any other children, if we're going to have any other children, just so they can bond and they can have, which I really appreciated, because it was not something I'd asked, it was not something that I had demanded, but he really just loved my son completely, and just didn't ever want him to feel like he's not wanted, or he's just like, okay, now you're here because your mom is here. So that was really amazing. At the point when now we were living together, I think just being, because you'd asked a question about intentionality, just being intentional about talking about things. Like, we would do so many fun things together, and even up until now we just do so many fun and silly things together, you know. If it's we're reading, because my son really loves reading, which I do as well, going to the library, we discovered a library nearby, so we used to walk to the library, get books, spend time reading, spend time at the movie, spend time just literally doing stuff together. I think that's something that helped. And I don't think it was more like I was intentional about I want to do this. I just sort of wanted to get to know this person. Like, you know, like, this is a child, yes, but what do they like? Who is this person? Exactly. So just trying to find different things that we can do together. Oh, I'm in the kitchen. Okay, let's do this. Oh, you're doing this. Oh, you're sliding. Oh, you're creating. Because my son used to be so entrepreneurial. Like, he used to do, there's a time in school he started selling comics. He was selling peanuts. He was doing what? I mean, he was just the most entertaining. Right in that time, he decided he was writing a book. I think he wrote 2 books. Really? And this time he's like maybe 10. Wow. Or even less than 10. Yeah. And stuff like that. And I'm just like, wow, you know, just like being what? You're like, I was like, what was I doing at 10? I was not thinking about that. But just being so like, I just want to get to know this person the same way you would with a friend. I really just wanted to get to know my son, and I think that has spilled over the years into, I think, the relationship we have now. That's not perfect, but I think it's a lot more advanced than many people who have children the same age, or people who are trying to figure out, how do I connect with my child. So just being intentional about like school and the Word of God, and then just being intentional about spending time together, and just being like, okay, so what do you like doing? Okay, let's do it. Or this is what I'm doing, come, let's go and do it together, or let's go into these places together. And not being like, I think traditionally people used to be like, okay, children stay at home, adults are doing these things, or these are adult things, these are children things. Just being more like, okay, come and see, come and know, come and ask questions, come and things like that. And then also advocating, I think advocating for my child. Like, even, you know, those stories for Kitambo, when the teacher has said, your kid has done something, you already beat the child before even hearing their side of the story. Because I think parents always do that. Like, because you think another adult will be right and your child, and sometimes it's not the case. That's very true. So me, my son, he knows, even if it's the worst, because he knows, even if it's the worst situation, you better come and tell me, because it will be worse if I find out there's something you have left out in you telling me the story. Now it's over. It's game over. And that's also a good thing, like, to be in a place where you feel like now you have that friend, you have that bond, you have that friendship with your child, in a way that they can come to you and tell you anything. You see what you're saying, that if you find out like there's something he's hidden, it means there's this relationship that you have, that he feels he can always come to you and be open about anything and everything, no matter how difficult it is. And I was going to ask you now, so like, how do you have difficult conversations with him? Like, are there times that when he was growing, like, he would ask you like difficult questions? Is there a time like he came to you once, or many other times akakuuliza like something and you're like, wow, huyu sasa ametwa? You know how sometimes kids come and they'll just ask you something. Like, my son will just come and ask me something and I'm like, where did you even hear this? Is there a time like that that happened? And then when that happened, as in, how did you make sure, like, how did you know that you can have now the difficult conversations with him, and at what age? Well, interestingly, with my son, I can't even think of anything that my son, well, maybe last year when he came and said something about, I think we were driving somewhere, and then he said, Mom, I think I have a problem. So I'm like, a problem? Okay, what kind of problem? You know, and you know, because it's Gen Z, all the time we were just always imagining how you're already funny, and then he's there telling, you know, like, it's funny how you guys, your conversations are just, So I'm just like, okay, what kind of problem? At the time I'm thinking, oh God, what can it be? What can it be? Then he's like, I think I want to speak to somebody. So I'm like, okay, like, you know, I'm just like, is this, are you okay? Then he's like, yeah, because I'm just really angry nowadays. I just feel so angry. So I'm like, okay. So I say, thank you, Yeshua, for telling me. And I'm trying to be like chill, like, you know, like I don't want to overreact. I don't want to, like, I want him to know that he can continue to bring these things to me
and tell you.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, thank you for telling me. Like what do you mean by being angry? It's like, no, I just find myself getting so angry nowadays, and it's more than usual. Like, I'm so angry and I'm feeling like I'm shaking. I want to hit something. It's like, it's not normal. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, thank you for telling me. It's important. It's good that you can identify that in yourself. I was like, yeah, so I wanted to know if I can speak to like a counselor or somebody. So I'm like, yeah, definitely. You can definitely speak to somebody. I'll find somebody for you. When I think 2 or 3 years ago, when they'd gone for the cut with his cousin,
yes, I remember.
they were given access to counselors. You know, they were told they can come in for therapy, but they never ever used it. It's like, yeah, so maybe you can reach out to them. He asked me, reach out to them. Then I was like, yeah, actually, I'll reach out to them. But this is me publicly admitting that I haven't. I keep forgetting. I'm just like, yeah, I need to do this. It's in my to-do list. Week after week it has passed, and that maybe it was like November. So that's not good. Failing at something here. But I think that's one major thing that he has ever brought to me. Usually my son he won't come and say those kinds of things or questions. Usually I'm the one who has to initiate them. And like, that's the harder part. But with my daughter, she'll come and ask, Mom, my friend said, Mom, why don't I have a dad like other people have dads? I know that you said God is my father in heaven, but like I want a dad who can like lift me up and like play with me and come to school and do things with me. You see that's a conversation. So my daughter does that. My son doesn't. My son, it's more.
Maybe
that's
a thing
the one.
With
boys. I suspect so.
Yeah, because girls are so outspoken. Like a girl will just ask you something and they like. I don't know. Because for I feel for boys you have to dig out the information. You have to dig out whatever.
That one actually has been my biggest parenting. Like the place where I feel like I'm still growing up in, and I have to be so intentional, and I don't think I do it so well. I try, but I don't think I do it so well in terms of being like, I'm like, okay, Angela, now you need to have a conversation about XYZ, or you need to, because now he has a phone, and our rule is that at any point in time, I can take the phone just to scroll and check what's happening there at any time.
Okay. Yeah. When did you allow him to have a phone?
Last year when he turned 15. Actually, my sister bought him the phone.
Okay.
When he was 13, we had sort of tried, but it was not working. It was not working, and then the phone died. And I was like, look, it's God who has done it. Hallelujah.
And like in a world of where social media is so much like with this, especially with our Gen Zs, like how do you create boundaries like for him and your small girl? Do you allow your girl to use phones?
For sure, no. Definitely not. She asks that I told her maybe when you're 13 or 14, and she's accepted.
She doesn't use tablet.
Oh, she does. She has a tablet, and she uses it. The games but it's on YouTube Kids and Netflix Kids, and usually because I think it's less policing them in the thing they're actually watching, because it's not like, okay, this and this, but her, she knows. She'll usually say, Mom, I found this page, can I watch this one? Then like she'll never actually just start watching something independently, or something will come on, she's like, Mom, it's Halloween, Mom, remove, you know, or something like that. Or she'll just be like, this is not good, I don't think I should watch this. Then later on she'll come and tell me, this came up, then I shouldn't watch this. And even like with my son, there was a time when, I think maybe, was it last year? Up until last year, there were channels that we had agreed that he could watch, you know, of creators he likes, or sports, or whatever it was. So he'd give me like a list and be like, oh, Mom, just check out these channels. Are they okay for me to watch? And I'd go through them, and obviously he'll just be like, you haven't checked. Because sometimes I'm like, okay, when will I check? But he'll just watch them, and then if I'm in the same room, because usually we only watch TV in the sitting room, we don't use the phones in our bedrooms, so we use it where everybody can hear. Even if he has pods, at any point in time I can be like, let me see what you're doing, whatever. I think that has also helped for him to not explore things which are not the best. But I think it's more the principle behind, or like the foundation has to be taught, so that it's not like you're over policing, because sometimes he'll just be like, something will happen, then he'll just be like, he'll switch, he'll just not watch it, because I'm more for like, let's spend more time in the Word of God and in talking about these things and why they're not helpful and why this would be there, so that he can make his own decisions, because I won't always be there. And so that's what he is. So he's on TikTok, he's on Snapchat, on he has an X account, but even that X account is more for basketball updates. He's not allowed to be on Instagram, although sometimes he had snuck it in and whatever. But I always tell him, let me tell you, whatever you try and do, there's nothing you're going to bring here that's worse than what it is I had tried, even though I didn't have social media. Yeah, mimi nakuanga juu ya hizo vitu. Does he have a Facebook account? I think maybe, but then he mostly uses TikTok and Snapchat and WhatsApp.
Okay.
Yeah, and these are the ones that are just supplemental. But usually I'm just like, you know what? I might not be able to find and see all the things, but God sees.
Yeah.
And we're just constantly in the place of, this is what is good for you, this is why it's good, and da-da-da-da. If there's something that's not good there, we'll call it out. Me, I'll call it out. Yeah, and I just... Yeah, and that's the place where I'm saying I'm building more muscle. When I see something, I'm like, okay, let's have a conversation about this one. You're talking to 5 girls, and all of them think that you're their boyfriend. And how can everybody must be a potential? Can't you just have sisters? The Bible says people should be your sisters and your brothers. And so we have those conversations. Sometimes it seems like it's going over the head, but I'm like, my responsibility is to say, let me not just be quiet about it, and then something happens. So that's so the hard conversations, usually I'm the one to initiate them, even though they are awkward. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I don't know how to handle this, I'll talk to my brother-in-law or to my cousins or some of my guy friends, and they will know how to do things. Or I'll be there on a WhatsApp video call with my sisters. Guys, I've just seen this, what do we do? Then one of my sisters will be like, hey, that's it, take the phone. Another one will be like, okay, let's calm down, it's not that serious. They're like, no, that's bad. Hey, let me check even on my side. So that's also helpful.
Amazing. And so like you have Nashe. Nashe is 6 years old right now. So how did there's a gap over there?
9 years.
Around 9 years. So when you got Nashe, now you are still with you're still dating your husband. You're still with your husband.
Yes.
And then, but now you are in Kenya. You came back to Kenya, right? Okay. So now Nashe had not met him yet, as in by the time she's growing up. That's why she's asking you these questions.
No, so we get married in 2014 and we're living in South Africa. End of 2016 we make the decision to move back. No, end of 2015. No, beginning of 2016. Now we decide we're going to relocate back to Kenya. Okay. So now for those 3 years, interesting, the 3 years that he had spoken about, the 3 years is just the 3 of us. And now all of us move back to Kenya. So Nashe is born end of 2017, September 2017. Okay. And so we are now a family of 4.
Yes, 4.
Family of 4. But then now in the interesting unfolding of my life journey, our marriage doesn't work. And I mean, lots of different things and contributions into all of that. And I think it was one of those things where you look back and you're like, hey, God, you mean? That's why I was saying this relationship with God is very dynamic, and so many things have happened. Because one of the places...
moved back here together with him?
Yes, we moved back together. Well, I'd moved first, and then, because I wasn't even planning to move, I'd come for a visit, and then the visit was extended because of my visa. And then now, you know, we made the decision, even at a distance, for us to all move here. So he came here, beginning of 2016. And so I was wrestling with God, like when my marriage was falling apart, was ending, rather not even falling apart, was ending. Like, God, you mean like I can be a Christian?
So this is like after you've come back, you started having issues, or you are still having, there are some issues you are still
going through? There were some underlying issues from even, I think from even before, which were, you know, when you're in love, when things, even the church, where even leaders in church and things like that, and things are just going well. So if you say like, most of the time things are going well, but these two things, but I tell people, those two things, they might be few, but if they are big enough, you need to pause and think about them and just be like, okay, am I willing to commit to these things? Because anything that is an issue in dating will only become more amplified when you're married, and then when you have kids, and then all these different things. And so those things, those small things, which were not really small things, became bigger things in marriage. And we were growing, and things were happening, and there were dynamic things happening in our marriage. But still these things were issues, and they eventually became the crumbling points, the cracks, where the cracks that were that eventually led to the marriage ending. But I remember at that particular point in time, even with all those issues, I didn't imagine that my marriage would be ending. Like now I'm in church, like now I'm doing all the right things. I am now the model firstborn. You know, I am no longer that confused ratchet firstborn person. I am now doing all the things. I am living properly and upright and everything like that. We've gotten the premarital counseling, we are journeying and whatever. So at the point when things are falling apart, I'm even asking God, like, as in, you mean like somebody can be a Christian and this can happen to them? You know, like how? Like how like is that even possible? Like if it's 1 + 1 = 2, I've done the 1 + 1. If it's baking a cake, I have put all the ingredients. I'm not even the 140 eyeballing. So let's put some flour with this level. No, I have measured. If it's 200 grams, I've put 200 grams exact.
You've
the temperature. I've done my part. You know, and I feel like also the other side, we have done all the preparation, and this thing is falling apart. I'm telling you, that was one of the things that really I think deepened me in my faith because I really wrestled with God. I was like, you're going to explain to me how, like, okay, explain to me how this can actually fail, you know. And I was saying last week I was speaking somewhere, and I was saying one of the things all of that taught me is how much God respects free will. Because that's one of the gifts He has given human beings. He will not force you to do anything. He will encourage you. He will nudge you
to choose to do right. You have free will. When you do something, it's on you.
Exactly. It's on you, and you can choose. And in the same way that you can choose your partner, you know, your husband, your wife, or whoever it is you're going to be, you can also choose to not be there. And God won't force you. Like, He will encourage you. Maybe He'll bring people, and He will, you know, you'll be convicted, but He can't make you make a decision that you don't want. And that's one of the things that I took away from my marriage ending was the fact that, you know, God was for our marriage. He wanted it to work because God, you know, He's the author of marriage. But He could not override the decisions and the free will of the people inside that marriage. And then now.
And so by this time, did you try, like, of course, how we make things work, or so that you reach to that point where you feel like, we feel like this is not working, and then did you both of you come to like the same decision, like willingly, and then like with no trouble at all?
Well, in terms of trying to make things work, well, what I usually encourage people and give people counsel nowadays, of course, get therapy. I think seek therapy, get counseling, have other people be able to give you perspectives. Because sometimes binadamu tunakuanga vichwa ngumu, and once you've stuck to a position, you're in that position. I think that's important. We didn't do that. We didn't do that, but also because not both parties, not both of us were willing to do that at that point in time. And you see, you can't go to therapy you by yourself. You will become well, and the other person won't be well, or the other person will be well and you won't be well. So you both have to want to do this particular thing. In terms of trying to make things work, other things, like, so for example, whether it is fixing finances, we're trying to fix finances. So it's not like, it was just like, oh, things are falling apart, and oh, hey, just look, it's just going, you know, like that. I mean, of course, because we're in this relationship, we love one another, we have children, we have what, we want it to work. But I think in terms of that of getting counseling, getting input and things like that, that's not happening. And so it is, it's unfortunate. You know, I don't know whether it would have saved the marriage, but at least it would have been a thing that would have been tried, that would have helped, because it has helped many people. At the point when we are deciding, or we're coming to the place where we're even informing our family members that, okay, this thing is now over. Would I say we have both come to that place that we have sat down and we've said that we have agreed? No. Now we start this whole process and this journey of, what do you call it? I was going to say winding down, but it's not really winding down, because it's not a business, it's not a nani. It's a very serious. Let me just interrupt you up kidogo. So now, well, you've made this decision. Have you considered how you're going to talk to the kids and what you're going to tell the kids? No, not quite, because I don't even know. Because it's by this time, Nashe is very young. Yeah, she's like 2 years. Yeah, she's about 2. She's 1.5, 2 there. Yeah, but your son is old enough to understand. Yes. And even at the point when this discussion is happening, it's more like, okay, I think at some point, I asked the question, like, yeah, but how will it affect the kids? And it's like, no, we'll figure out how to tell them. We'll figure out how they're going to navigate all of that. But I remember the day I had the conversation with my son, he was like, so I told him, okay, before it happened? No, this is after.
Or way after?
Because now at the point when even all of this is happening, we are living in different countries.
All right.
We're living in different countries.
Okay.
And so we are communicating a lot virtually and on the phone and things like that. But now, so of course, it's almost easy. I don't know how to say if it's easier. It's almost easier because this person is not there physically a lot.
Yeah, I get
and so now even as I'm explaining to my son, I just said, so your dad and I, have decided that we are not going to continue together in terms of being married.
How old is he?
11, 12. Thereabout. Yeah, about 11, 12.
Okay.
So of course he understands things. And that boy
definitely. He's very sharp. Baby, he's very sharp.
Yeah. So I tell him, maybe 11. And so I explained to him that, but doesn't mean that we don't love you. We both love you. We both are going to be here for you. If you have any questions, let me know. So he just like looks aside. He looks like he's about to cry, but I ask him, so how are you feeling? He says, I don't know. So I'm like, okay, well, if you have any questions, you can ask me. If you feel sad, you feel angry. So I remind him that he can speak to my sisters, speak to my brother-in-law, speak to my cousins. And he's like, yeah, that's fine. Then he says, okay, so does that mean, so will we still talk on the phone? And I'm like, yeah, completely. Like that has nothing to do with us, and we don't hate each other. When it's not because of you, you haven't done anything. Because I've had people having those narratives that you feel like your parents have broken up because of you. So I was very intentional to tell him it's not that. So he didn't ask any questions, but after some time, because I think he is one of those, he's even just like me, I'll take information in, and then after a while now I'll come back and be like, by the way, when you said this and this and this, did you mean? So he would occasionally come and say, what does this mean? Or say how he has felt on a particular day, or tell, so my brother-in-law would say that, they've spoken about this in terms of having a dad and things like that. So that's sort of how we navigated that situation. Of course, my daughter, there was nothing she was even learning and different things. So her, even as she grew up, it was more like she wants a physical dad. Like this one, if somebody's far, since he's so far, like this is not really like my dad. Like, so that's why she was asking those questions of like, so my dad is in heaven, so that was sort of like her thing, that like God is her dad, like, so God is her actual father. Because they don't actually have a relationship in terms of, we have not been together physically. It's only pictures. It's only. But
what about the talking on the? Did they used to talk on the phone?
No.
Oh, they never.
And you see, because now if she's
right
6
now, you've already.
That time she was like,
you're already separated.
1.5 and 2 years already separated. So for her, it was not like she has built a relationship with this person. And so her, she just used to always tell her friends, me, God is my father, and and things like that.
A sweet girl.
But I think so for her, that's sort of been her sort of reality. For my son, of course, it has been harder to watch him navigate, especially as he got become a teenager and wanting a lot of the fatherly covering and instruction and things like that. And so I've been very blessed to have people in my life, whether it is my brother-in-law, or my cousins, or my friends, who have been able to have those kinds of conversations, or the guy sort of jokes and interactions, which
so
I've never ever tried those
like
things, because I'm like,
exactly. He doesn't feel like left out. He doesn't have
because sometimes he'll just be like, he can message them, he can ask questions and things like that. So that has been awesome. Of course, it's one of those things where it would be amazing if they had somebody in the house constantly.
That's true.
But that's just not the space that we're in now. And so again, similar to what I had said at the beginning, where God was like, don't just look at the failure on your part, look at how I've covered. Even now, I think about, okay, there's that bit and that painful part, but the ways in which God has covered, the ways in which God has supplied so much grace to me, but also in the people he has put around me, has just been so amazing.
And you're doing amazing, and it's not, I may not know, like, of course, a huge percentage of everything that goes on in your life, but the parts that you share, as in, I see how you bond with them, I see how you relate with them, how you joke, how you, like, everything you do, like, you're an incredible mom, and I really applaud you for that. You're doing a good job, so don't feel like as mothers, we are
so hard on ourselves,
by the way, that's so true. And that's why I thought like it would be so good to just have this talk with you, considering it's the Mother's Month, and Mother's Day is on the corner, and just to encourage, so that your story can encourage someone, and because you're definitely doing a good job. So I saw a post that you'd posted, sorry to take you back,
it's okay,
about losing your husband. How was that, and how has that journey been? And sincere condolences.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
How has that journey been, and how was it like? And did you still have a relationship with his people, and did you guys still used to have a conversation? Or well, because you traveled for the funeral there.
Yes. My sister and I went, and we were able to be there for that last bit, which was one of the hardest things I think that I have ever done in my life. And it was not good. It was not. Hey, you know, some things where you look back,
praying with you, because you know you're this person on the knee. You're so lively. Like, you'll just notice when something is. I noticed that for that period you are not okay. Like, but at least God's grace has been sufficient for you, because you used to share how you even never used to get sleep. At some point, you are like that
like
thing
2 weeks
really,
of no sleep.
Yeah, that thing really like messed you up. So I'm really sorry about that. So how was that, and how did the kids take it?
Well, hey, so much to unpack there, but it was a very hard period, and I think that interesting. I was talking to my sister Joan the other day, and just talking about how grief comes in waves.
Yes,
because just fine, then all of a sudden you're just like, oh my God.
Yeah, there are times. I don't think it disappears. I don't think grief ever like.
And so
I think you just have waves of, because there are times you're okay, and there are times that like it will just come, like, and hit you, and
just
you're like,
feeling it, just being in the moment.
In the moment, not living in like denial and being and refusing to be soaked in that moment.
So I think that period was just really hard. Just the immediate after was really hard. It was shocking, and then it was hard. It was even just the breaking it to my family. I remember my mom really wailing when I told her, because I mean, like, despite all the things that happened, there's a way in which, like, we are family. You know, we've become family. We have history, we have stories, we have even evidence of our time together, and
which
all of that.
Always
exactly, you know, and even my siblings being sad about that, and my wider family. And they were so kind and gracious. So we traveled for the funeral. Had a good reconnection time with his family. We've always had a good relationship with the family, and even after our splitting up, still talking and finding out how you're doing, how the kids doing, on both ends, on both dynamics. So it was nice, because they were also very embracing at that time. Even the extended family, people we had never met, were just so embracing. They're just loving on us and encouraging us, and wanting to know more about the kids and how they are, and all those different things. So that was really awesome, because I know many people who have horror stories. Now the husband dies, and then now it's you and Olimua,
it becomes
and
like
then it's like a scandal, you know,
just
a whole horrible thing. And in fact, even when we were traveling, we're just like, we're not really expecting royal treatment or anything. It was just more to pay last respects, but really just shout out to them just for being so embracing and just wonderful. And I think we were able to be healing to them, and them be healing towards to us as well, feeling in the pieces and the story and what had happened.
It's a good thing when like both of you are not like in that space of hatred and blame games and and so that was wonderful. And I think that I think even just for my own family, shout out to my sister Joan Murugi. Shout out, Joan.
I mean, just
she was so there for you.
There are ways in which people show up for you.
And it was almost her birthday.
I know. And actually, her actual birthday, we were still in Zim, and in such a, we didn't even have the huge splash that we had planned, or that was planned rather, for her birthday and stuff like that. But there are ways in which people show up for you that leave you flawed.
I know.
I mean, like,
you're like,
even now I'm thinking about it, I just feel like
I
crying.
know.
And I'm not usually a crying one, you know.
But I love
People
the
should just
bond
know.
that you guys have. It's really good, and
Yeah,
it's also
and
hard.
just-
You know, it's not even easy to see siblings get along the way you guys
I know,
do.
it's such a gift. And only as I get older is when I'm realizing, hiya, not everybody's like this.
Not everybody is
Kumbe.
like that. Like, you guys have a special bond, and you know, even how you relate, like how you guys can talk to each other about anything, how she says you support her
all the time. Let me
yeah,
tell you, we have like
I
three.
know.
We have a WhatsApp chat, which is with our parents. Another one which is just another girls with our mom, and then there's just now us for sisters.
Yes.
And then on Instagram we have another running chat, and then we have on TikTok, Suji, on which other platform, and then on top of that you can be there, and then still there's video call, there's text, there's all the time.
That's
like we
such
speak.
a good, and it's a blessing. It's actually a blessing
amount.
when your sister can be your best friend. Yeah, it's such a good thing because it doesn't happen all the time.
It's
so
true,
it's a good
it's
thing
true.
to see that she was there for you and the support that she gave you. Like, she
Yeah.
even forgot it was her birthday and was just
I owe
there
her so
for
many birthdays.
I
Like, so many.
know.
Every other birthday from now on, Joanne, is going to be amazing. It's going to be
Amen.
amazing.
Yeah.
But it's just so reflective of the kind of person that she is.
She is.
Because yeah, I think that sometimes people can really misunderstand
Yes,
people.
yes.
But it's in the moments of crisis.
That's true.
I think there's that expression, English expression, a friend in need is a friend
Indeed.
You know, at the point when you are so at the end of yourself,
Yes.
and this person gives up all comfort. I mean,
To be there
there are
for
stories
you.
to be told in other times
Yes.
about what we endured that week. The kind of bonding that we did, my sister and I, was incredible in that week. But the fact that she was willing to be there and go and just,
it's amazing.
so incredible.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so we just navigated that period. Just before we traveled, I told my son. So I didn't tell him. So
what
he passed
happened?
away on Saturday.
Yeah.
I was told on Sunday, and it was Saturday night, so I was told on Sunday. I didn't tell him until Wednesday. We were traveling on Wednesday because I just could not think about even how I was going to tell him.
Yes.
Like, I did not know which words I was going to use.
Yeah.
I literally felt like I will collapse and then he
I
will
know,
also
and
collapse. So now
yeah.
it will be a problem. So I just needed to gather some
That's
sort of
so
strength
sad.
to be able to share with
share
him.
with
So I
him.
told him, and he said, just typical Yeshua. He's just like, okay, what happened? Then I said, well, I don't really know the details. They're still doing the investigations and stuff, but I will know when we go. So I told him, okay, so how do you feel? And he says, well, I feel sad. Then I said, I think, what else did I ask him? I asked him, yeah, so do you feel like crying? He's like, okay, not right now. But I remember when a couple of days later he told me, because I think he went to school the next day.
Yeah.
He told me how he had moments when he was crying. He had to go to like the bathroom and cry and whatever.
Aww.
And I was happy that at least he had some
He
crying
did,
moments.
yeah.
And then now while we were
Instead
away,
of holding it
exactly.
in, you know how
While we were away, he
guys
was at
think
my
that
sister's
crying,
house.
with the notion that men don't
Yeah,
cry.
men don't cry. I'm just like, please express yourself. When he was at my sister's house, and so my brother-in-law, I told him, just talk to him anytime, you know, and I told my brother-in-law that I told him that. And so he was like, I don't worry, we'll be fine. But 2 weeks ago, I think when we had gone on mission, we were in Baringo, and one of the days he calls me and he says, Mom, I'm just so sad. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, tell me about it. Because of course, usually we're just so lighthearted and chill. So when he tells me something like that, I'm like, hey, okay, let's pay attention. And he says that, you know, he just woke up feeling really sad and he's just thinking about his dad's death and whatever. So I tell him, yeah, so this is like, yeah, I just don't feel like laughing at things. I just don't feel like I want to be with people. And I'm like, that's completely fine. And he's not at home that time, he's at a family friend's house.
Okay.
So I give my friend a heads up and they have a long conversation talking about what he's feeling and da-da-da-da-da. So that has been an interesting journey, being able to walk with him through grief. Because me, I'm also dealing with my own things, and him, he's trying to
grace to you
to work through that. And I'm just like, hey, God, this is another dimension of all of this. I mean, already it was bad enough when this had happened, and now this extra one.
To go through this
sometimes
also.
you're just like, God, I mean, honestly, out of all the people you could pick in the world, okay, sawa. Ni sawa too. I can't question you. With my daughter, it's been a bit different. It's been sort of like breaking it to her slowly, piecemeal, you know. So sometimes she'll be like, oh, okay, so what happened? So I explain. Then it's like she'll talk about, then she'll just leave it. Then randomly again she'll come and say, so when he died.
But now for Nashe, because she already has this notion that Jesus is her father.
Yeah.
Have you, like, Have you already like told her now this is your dad and this is what happened to dad?
Yeah, so so she said one time, actually, what the segue was, one time she was drawing a picture. She's like, yeah, she's drawing a picture for school, so she drew a picture of me, Yeshua and her. Then I was like, yeah, but Nashe, then she's like, yeah. So she's so happy showing me the picture. She's like, yeah, Nashe, but you see, for you to have come, you know, there was an actual dad, like a real dad.
Yes.
She's like, a real dad, I had a real dad. Then it's like, yeah, I had a real dad.
Like I can just imagine her expressions because I see how she expresses herself.
Exactly, without just,
yes,
kids are so awesome, without just so filter free and, you
Mm-hmm.
know, without any agenda.
Yeah.
So I explained to her that, I said, so where is he? He said, oh, no, but you know, now he went to heaven. It's like, oh, what happened? Was he sick? Then I said, no, some bad people did this and this and this and the other. And so she's like, oh, okay. She leaves that. Then another time she'll come back. She said, oh, okay, so how old was he?
Wow.
And then
now,
I explained that to her.
questions.
She's like, oh, okay. No, but how old was he now when I was born? So it's one of those things where it's like her mind is, she's gotten
like
so much information, so she's getting it piece by piece. And some people are just like, no, you should just tell her. I'm like, no, I mean, that is more for you. Like, you as an adult, you want all this information. But I don't want her to, you know how you can short circuit. This is become a steamer magic king kwa steamer. How it just blows things up. What's most important for her to know is that she was conceived in love.
Yes.
There was this person who loved her and, you know, was there in her life and and then this happened. And of course, she needs age-appropriate information.
Yeah.
She understands the fact that, okay, she had an earthly dad and now he's no longer here and all those different things. And that's enough. And as we're going on, we are tackling different pieces of that story. Because, of course, I know that it forms a huge part of her identity, forms a huge part of how she sees the world and things like that. So hers has been different, but we are uncovering layers and layers and layers and things like that.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. Imagine, like, you've really done great. You've really done great. And more other times you feel like, as a born-again Christian, like, you're like, do you get times where you're like, God, where are you? Like, at times where you lock yourself and you just want to cry and like, you get those times? Yeah. How do you handle such times?
Maybe not God, where are you? I think that because of my life has been so dramatic, I tell people, like, I feel like I've lived 5 lives and I'm still just a young girl, you know, still just figuring things out and having new experiences. I feel like I don't think I have ever doubted the presence of God. Two things: the presence of God and the love of God, and the goodness of God. The presence of God and the goodness of God. Like, even in the worst situations, I am so convinced, without a shadow of doubt, that God is good. Like, this situation is horrible. It's the worst situation. I can't understand it, but I know that God is good and his intentions to me are always good. I can't understand how, from that goodness, if it's coming down this way, what has happened in between here and this situation here. But I refuse to think otherwise. I am convinced that God is good. And even in his presence, and the fact that there's so many things that don't make sense about the world that only makes sense because God is there. I have seen God answering prayer. I've encountered God myself. Yes. So it's not a thing that I'm hearing. It's not my mom's faith or somebody. I know that I know that God is there and that God is real and that he is present with me in all situations. But do I have the times when I'm struggling with, like, but why is this happening? Or I'm feeling really bad about a situation? Definitely. Many times where I'm just like, okay, I'm just sad. I'm just feeling overwhelmed. I'm trying to figure out whether it's fees. I'm trying to figure out a day. I'm just like, it would be so much simpler if this and this happened, or if this person was here, or if I was in a 2-parent household. I can just be able to be like, okay, I'm done for the evening. Somebody else is handling the checking. Somebody else is handling the stories.
You still have to step up and do and be the mom and be the dad. It still has to be me.
Exactly. Or things, maybe it's the child is not behaving right, and not just at home, maybe at school or whatever. I'm just like, maybe it's because of this situation that we're in, you know, or I have to figure this out, or just all the hardships of life. There are times, many times, when I just go and I just cry, and I'm just like, God, why?
And in
I
those
just
times,
whine.
what do you do?
I cry. I'm just honest with God. I'm just like, God, this is painful. God, this is hard. This is just, it's not fun. And I'm just so honest with God. And because the Bible says that he is the defender of the widows and he's the husband to the husbandless and father to the fatherless. I'm like, God, these are your kids. These are your kids. As in, like, God, look, you see school fees here, invoice? God,
it's yours.
This one is yours. You see this situation, you see how I'm feeling frustrated in a moment, you see how I can't get to this place because of this, or because how I can't get an opportunity because of this, or how this complication is God handle. Or sometimes my prayer is just God help, or it's just God see. Like, God, you said, like, you were the one who said, me, I didn't even promise myself these things. You're the one who promised in your word.
True.
Tell me about it, you know. So praying, crying, and just being honest to God has helped. I think it's also allowing my kids to see me weak and vulnerable. I think that has also really helped, because
have you ever cried in front of them, or do you cry?
I think one time.
Okay.
Only one time. And it was, well, they were happy tears though. But I really, really cried. And my kids were like, this was 2022. And it was just before my birthday. And I was starting to see somebody. By that time, we're not even dating or anything, but it was sort of like budding, but kwa umbali and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, I just had like this moment where I'm just like, hiya, you mean like my life is moving on? As in, like, I'm just like, this is a flourishing moment that is happening. So I'm folding clothes, and for my kids, I think they were going for a sleepover somewhere. I'm folding clothes. Then I just start crying. So then Nash is there like, Mom, why are you crying? Yeshua, Mom is crying. So Yeshua comes in, he's like, Mom, what's wrong? Have you gotten hurt? And I just can't stop crying. I'm just like, okay, I'm going to call somebody. Do I call Shosh? Do I? It's like, Mom, okay, unlock your phone, Mom, so I can call. He's just so overwhelmed. They had never seen me cry ever. OMG. And they're probably thinking like, my God, the world is ending. My mom is crying.
Mom.
That's it. The world is over. The world is over. Then afterwards I tell them, okay, I'm just fine or whatever. That evening Yeshua says that he was so shaken. He had never ever imagined that I cry, that
he sees you as this strong person who is... And
everything I just take with stride and everything. So that time, I think they were very traumatized. But I tell them, but guys, but I cry. No, it's like, yeah, but we've never seen you cry, so we didn't even know that you can cry, and that what does this mean for us? Like, if our mom is crying, then fine, we're finished now. And it was even, to make it worse, it was happy tears, but they didn't know.
They didn't know that.
But other than the crying part, very many times I have been so intentional with my kids for them to... Remember me, I struggled with relating to my mom and becoming a Christian because I couldn't see how this Christianity was relevant in real life. Like, I couldn't see, okay, yeah, so you pray, but now how does that translate? Like, when the prayer takes long to be answered and whatever, how does that become a thing? So I was very intentional, and I'm very intentional, I think, even with my platforms, for people to see my faith as not just my faith there. You can see my faith when I'm with my kids or I'm teaching them things. You can see me praying about jobs or giving glory to God about things. Like, it's my faith is such a huge part of everything that I do. And even with my kids, we have devotions every night, and we're praying about things and stuff. Like, if I'm struggling with something, my kids will know. I'm like, hey guys, tomorrow I have to go and meet with so-and-so, and I really don't feel like doing it. So my prayer request today, whoever is praying, whether it's Nasha or Yeshua, my prayer request is for God to give me joy so that I can be able to go and do this thing. Okay, my
so like you have devotions every single day? Every single day. Without missing?
Well, sometimes we miss. If I'm late, if we're feeling a bit lazy, but we have devotions more days than we don't.
Wow, that's so
sometimes the devotion is that we're watching, because there's so much awesome content. Like, let me just plug them. Superbook, there's VeggieTales, there's different things that we watch an episode and then we'll discuss. Like, what do you think it means? And it's not me who's teaching or preaching. It's just you and like you think. Yeah, somebody would say, I don't like how so and so treated. And so I'm like, oh, what does that look like for you? It's like, yeah, the other time when so and so did this to me in class, I even may pushed them back, but I don't think I should do that again. You know, or sometimes you can just be like, God is funny. That's the lesson they've gotten. And I'm like, oh my God, Jesus, are we going anywhere?
So like, for the devotion, you encourage, you like watch something, and then now you can discuss.
We discuss.
That's how.
What your lesson was.
Or like, you won't come and tell them, let's talk. Let's
this
study this.
And no, but okay. Sometimes we watch something. Other times we have right now we're just doing one journey through the Bible. So it's Bible stories. So we'll read that particular story of that particular day, and then we'll discuss. So whatever it is, whether we're watching something or we are reading from that Bible story, or we even have a bedtime story, a Christian bedtime story book, we'll read from, to be one of those three things, and then we'll discuss it.
Wow.
And it's more that I don't want to be the one saying, okay, so now we see from this story, we see that this person has done this. Even me, just like them, I will share, in this story, I think that I liked how the parent was patient. Then they'll be like, hey, this one's parent doesn't even shout. My daughter will be like, Mom, you see, this parent was not even shouting and you shout. Or, Mom, you see, you have to be patient. Okay, you have to be. And she's like, I'm like, everybody take their own lesson. Stop telling me what my lesson should be, you know. So it's more that I want them to be able to see all of us are on this journey. Like, yes, I've been born again. Yes, I'm the mom and whatever for longer than you guys. But everybody's on this journey. And we're all just trying to figure it out. God is teaching me the same way he's teaching you. He's also teaching me. So we try and do that every single night, except Sundays. Sundays, you just tell us what you've learned in church. That's the devotion. You just say, what did I learn in Sunday school? What I learned in church? And that's it. So we do the devotion with the reflection, and then people share their prayer requests, and then we pray for that, and we rotate it.
Awesome.
If it's Nasha leading, we are going to sing. She's going to be like, okay, praise God again. She's so theatrical. She wants the whole shebang. But so in those places, they can see certain things. Or maybe I'll say my prayer request is to be more patient. Or that to have a better attitude. Or to be on time for things. Like, so they can see that, oh, God actually really cares about you being on time. Or God cares about this and this and the other. So that is sort of how, for me personally, that has been a place for them to be able to see my vulnerability and my humanity, and hopefully for them to see how God has answered, and how, oh, guys, and I even come back and say, guys, remember you guys prayed for me to have a good day? Me, I had a good day. You guys prayed for me to have a good interview, like this one they prayed about. I'll tell them the interview went well.
Nasha,
and things like that. Exactly. and things like that. Or you prayed for us to get fees, and look, somebody has paid the fees, or something has happened.
Amazing.
And then they're also able to see, like, oh, this God thing, it's a real thing. It's not just for show or for pretend and things like that.
Wow, that's amazing. And how do you discipline them? Like, how has your journey of disciplining them been? Like, do you beat? Do you restrict something?
I am a believer in not withholding discipline from children. You know, when you see all these memes for African moms, my mom was never an African mom. Anyway, my dad was never an African sort of dad. But me, I am an African mom.
You are the real one.
With the eyes, with the sarcastic statements and things like that. The Lord is helping me. I don't even think I've ever beaten Yeshua. My husband used to be responsible for that discipline aspect, but he was not really a beating child kind of child. I mean, it was more the lectures and stuff. Discipline with Yeshua looks like withdrawal of privileges. Because we talk these things out. Yeshua, you have done this and this and this, and therefore you can't do this. Now you don't have your phone. Now you can't do these things. You can't. When we talk about it every step, like even with the phone, I'm going to be able to, I'll be checking these things. If this happens, and then setting those clear boundaries. You can't use your phone. Like in our house, you can't use your phone before 11. And at 10 p.m., you surrender it. You can only use your phone weekends. Even with watching TV during the school term, you only watch 1 hour. Each of them just watches 1 hour. 1 hour. And then that's it. You read, you play, you do other things.
Is there mom guilt, like when you tell him you can't do this, and he'll be there looking sorry and sad and like looking sad, like, mom, really?
One of the things Yeshua can tell you is that me, I'm the kind, you will never guilt trip me by looking sad and whatever. In fact, the more, in fact, I'll tell you, you see, you're too addicted to it. That's why you're having this kind of emotional response. I like to reason with my kids. I mean, like, of course, they can have the emotive side and whatever, and I'll deal with that. But I like us to have conversations around. So you're feeling like this, let's talk about it. Or this is an issue you have, let's talk about it. You're not going to guilt trip me at just being so sad and whatever. Just be sad. Just be sad. We'll move around. Or I'll tell you, take your sadness or your bad mood, not in your sadness, your bad mood, just to that corner. It's okay. I'll just tell you, I understand that you're feeling upset about this, but I've explained to you why we can't do that way, or why this is happening. And but usually we'll talk about things. You can't. You will cry, so what I can do, I won't. You will just cry, I'll tell you sorry. I'll, you know, like with Nasha, she'll just come and say, I'm having feelings. Because I always tell her, when you're having feelings, whatever kind of feelings, let's talk about them. Identify. I'm just having feelings. And I tell her, it's okay to have feelings. What are your feelings? I'm just mad. I'm like, okay, it's okay to be mad. Why are you mad? Because you have said. I'm like, oh, it's okay to have feelings, but you understand what I've said? What I've said? Yes. I'm like, it's okay. Then I'll just hug her and say, okay, no, just sit there. It's okay. Next time you'll do things differently. I won't do it again. Yeah, it's okay, but you still have to get. Now, we pinch and we smack.
Wow.
Yeah, and we don't delay. I mean, unless we're in public, I'll just tell her at home we're going to do something. Unless it's a place I can take her to the side.
Yeah.
Like, Mom, please, please, please. I'm like, no, I want you to remember. I want you to remember. Like now, yeah, just cry. It's okay. But I want you to remember. Next time you think about doing it, you will think about this pain, and then.
And not do what you did again. So like when you ground some, like when you know how sometimes
we take the phone and grounding,
and grounding, like maybe someone did something and you've told them you can't go out. So like how do you come back and tell them, now I've ungrounded you, you can now go and.
Oh no, it's usually the period. I'll tell you for 1 week you can't do this, or for 1 month you can't be able to do this. Sometimes I maybe in between there, maybe I sleki kidogo, I just, you know, let the nanny. But most times it's lasts the whole time.
Yeah.
So after that week is over, we'll either have a conversation or me, I like to have the conversation at the beginning.
Right there.
So that when we're having this conversation, then it's like, you know, for the next 1 week this has happened, but we can still be friends. Like we can still talk about things, just that you don't have your phone. like we have already dealt with the situation. I've given you time to think about it, or there's a consequence you're leaving out, but we're not. It's not this tension like for a whole week or a whole
like
month.
Tension.
You're not exactly. You're not. You're not happy. You don't know if you're loved. Don't know if you're nanny. No, we've already dealt with it.
I don't know how to come out from that. Like it's something I've been praying and telling God to help me. Like sometimes my son will do something, especially for me. I really don't like it when he lies about anything. Like I want him to be like an honest person. So when he lies about something, I don't know why it gets to me so much that it will make me feel bad. Then I'll start asking myself, am I a bad mom? Where is he getting this behavior of lying from? Like how, you know, like, so like the next day he'll just come like, hi mom, how was your day? But me, I'm still like,
you're still,
you know, you lied yesterday. Why did you do that? You know, like I'm still learning how to come from that. Like when he's done something, and then come back to now. Okay, because I've grounded you, let's talk about this and then deal with that one. Like I don't know. I'm still learning and I'm still praying, because it's like holding. You know how you feel like you're holding
something, a grudge, something. You can't just move on and you've done this thing.
And then sometimes you feel bad because this is your son. I mean, this is your child. I mean, you're the older person. So why am I feeling like this?
No, but I think it's legitimate. You know, sometimes you put these things of like, oh, you're the adult. Yes, I'm the adult, but I can still have feelings about it. Anybody lying to me, that would be, you know, I'd feel bad about it. I think that lying one, even me, that one, it really bothers me. I'm just like, you can do anything, but just come and tell me. Just come and tell me, mom, because sometimes something will happen, and then he'll come and tell me half a story from school. I'm like, sure, if I go to that school, or if I call your principal and she tells me a thing that is slightly different, you know, that's it. That's like, we're finished. We're not. There's nothing else we're discussing. He's like, oh, okay. Also, I didn't say that. I didn't include. It was not. I'm like, okay, so sure. So you are all doing, and then there's a way you can tell a story where you're looking good and everybody else is looking. No, tell me step by step by step by step. But I think it's a thing of self-preservation. I think every human being has that thing of self-preservation. So you want to,
as adults, so sometimes I'll be like, maybe why am I being so harsh with him? And there are things I do, and I'm like preserving a truth, my side of the truth, and something like that.
Me, what I usually tell him is that I'm always trying to remind him, I am on your side. I am automatically, I'm always on your side first, until you give me a reason to not be on your side. And it's not that I'm on your side so that you can do anything. If you kill somebody, I think, who was it that I was talking to, like maybe a year or two ago? They're like, yeah, but if your son killed somebody, would you testify against him? I was like, if I know, I'll say. Like, if I don't have to, I won't say. But if I know, I'll say, because I'm more interested in him being a whole person, a right person before God and before people, than him staying out of jail. If he stays out of jail and then he kills us in the family or kills somebody, I mean, like, I'm more concerned about his soul than just protecting us. So I'm not the kind of moms who will just be like, let's just cover up everything. No, I'm on your side in terms of, I want you to be so whole and be so okay, and to be able to go the distance and fulfill your purpose and your destiny, whatever. So if you tell me, I can be able to help you figure it out, and also to be able to help you navigate, because there's some things maybe you're not seeing, some things you're not being able to. So I'm just always trying to remind him, please, just don't lie, don't lie. And I told him I pray the same prayer my mom used to pray over us. My mom used to pray, God, if any of my children is doing something that is naughty, expose them. And you know, my mom would just know things and find out things and would be caught and whatever. I tell him that's the prayer I make. Wow. So even sometimes I'm not even looking for something, some information will just come and so I tell him, you're sure you know? And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, you're sure? I'm going to ask you one last, and me and usually go from 0 to 100 so fast. Very fast. You're sure? I'm going to ask you one last time. Did you? Yeah, or did you actually not? I'm like, yeah. And how do you think I knew? How did I'm not even snooping. The information just comes. I could just tell him, honesty. It will protect you. It will defend you. You know, it will just be
for our children.
Exactly. To just be truthful and honest. Afadhali, I know this is who you are and this is what I am dealing with. You know, and just be truthful about it. I think sometimes it's also reminding myself to be calm. Like recently we had a situation at the beginning of the holiday. And that one we've not even yet talked about. But now I've just been reminded, and so we're going to talk about it. It's just going to be weird. But anyway, school has been extended, so we have a lot of time to talk to one another. But a situation came up, and we didn't even discuss it and stuff. I jumped straight to punishment and all those different things.
Without listening to his side?
There's no side. I already know the facts of the case. I know everything. Yeah.
And he was wrong and...
Exactly. But it was one of those situations where I'm like, okay, how do I even start talking about this? I mean, talk to my sisters. And then, so now already went to punishment, and then now they were away for like 3.5 weeks. So we didn't have time to talk about it. But now the punishment period ended. And now we have not even talked about the issue, which of course is a problem because... But parenting is so hard because sometimes you don't even want to have these awkward conversations or difficult. But you constantly, you have to do it. And I think it's a way that God matures us and grows us up and things like that. So, so that, you know, there are many points of failure as well.
I understand.
We are trying.
But we learn every day. I think every day when parenting, there's no one who's perfect. And it's every day as your kids grow, it's a learning for you also. So I think hakuna mali will ever fika and say that now I'm perfect. I know how to raise these children. Anyway, as we wind up, let's talk a bit about your HR career. So, like, I always wonder, like, take us through a journey of how, as a terminating and restructuring of employees, like, how is usually that journey? Because can you imagine, like, mnakuja tu, you're being told you have to go, and like, as a HR, how does that happen, and how do you as a HR feel when you're in that position, when you have to do the restructuring and
letting people go? Well, I usually say HR, hiring and firing. And I think that's why a huge part of my HR work is rebranding HR and trying to be, you know, the HR with the heart, and really trying to get people to not hate HR so much. But for some reason, many HRs are not kind. I don't know why.
True.
And yet it's dealing with people. I don't know. Well,
exactly. That's why I always wonder. I mean, you're the point of contact with the employee,
between employee employer, and like why? Yeah. So depending on the organization, in a perfectly utopian sort of world, usually what happens is that maybe the business is not making enough money, or there's not enough cash in the business for you to justify paying a number of people. And so because of that, it's always like, okay, so what can we consolidate? So now instead of paying 5 receptionists, can that job be done by one person? And if so, then that's the first place we're looking at. We're looking at the places where you can tighten our belts. The same way that you are eating meat 5 days a week, now you can only afford once a week. Which meat are we going to have? Which one is the cheapest and which one is the tastiest? Which one can be multiplied? You know, kuna nyama zingine, people will just have a piece. Then others where you can cut many pieces, and that's the one you're going to keep. You know, and it's the same in the organization. You want to try and figure out how can you consolidate the resources we have, and then unfortunately, cutting those down is cutting somebody's job. At the end of it all, there's somebody's job. In really, really good organizations, we'll think about all the other ways to save money before terminating people. Other times there's some organizations where they're just like, okay, let's just get rid of people, which is sad because, you know, this person is attached to a family, they have bills, they have plans of their own, they also have their own career journey, and they've also invested in the organization. Also, there's the part that they have information, organizational knowledge, you know, that if we cut them off, now we're stuck. We're like, okay, so how do we start operating the cameras? Because we've fired all the camera people, because we're like, no, we don't need them. We can, even nowadays, we can shoot from our phones. Yeah, but we can't shoot from our phones because we need a particular type of camera and setting. And so usually that's the thinking behind. And then now it's identifying. In good organizations, it's identifying the roles that can be consolidated, and so we keep the most competent or the most knowledgeable among in that particular team who can be able to do multiple people's job or whatever like that. In toxic environments, it's I'm keeping my friends. You from the first day, and so you're the first one out, or the ones who are last one in and the first ones out, or something like that. And so that would be the dynamic. And then it's the process of thinking about, okay, how do we do it in the most humane way? How long can we keep them? It's not a fun process because you see somebody coming so happy and excited, and you're like, oh God, I have bad news, and you can't even tell them prematurely because that can be somebody can come and sue you, or they might start doing funny things or sabotage the organization. And so it's that journey of like, okay, let me see how to get this information to them, how to make it easier. For me personally, I like to think about, okay, how can I already prepare other ads or opportunities that you can also look at, perhaps. Think about, what do you call it, recommendation letters. Think about ways in which you can support you as you transition out. And that's why I personally, when I was in full-time employment, I really liked to know all the employees, to know their family situation. So that as I'm doing that, people know that I actually care for them before reaching this particular decision. And so that has been, that was helpful. But then now you have the conversation. It's usually very painful because somebody hasn't seen it coming. They're just feeling like they've been blindsided. And like, it's sort of like you're doing this for the organization, but it's also you're cancelling. You're cancelling this person because people can do anything. By there are stories where people have even come back and shot people. Or you now destroy things. You introduce a virus into the systems. And then it's like, okay, so you want this person to understand what you're saying, but also to support them enough that they can be able to feel like, okay, I'm not the one who's a failure, I'm not useless, I'm not this and this and the other. I can be able to pick myself up. If there's a future opportunity, I'll be able to recommend or whatever else it is. So it's being able to balance, not being too sweet and being saying that, oh, we really wanted to keep you, but then, you know, it was so-and-so who said we get rid of you. The professionalism and then the counseling and... it's hard. It's hard. And especially if you don't have a relationship with people. Like now in consulting, sometimes organizations will bring me in to do that part. That one is a lot harder because I don't know these people personally. And so I just feel like I'm just the face of bad news. But then I still try and do it.
Okay, all right. Something else. How do you beat a career stagnated growth? How can one beat a career stagnated growth where such that you're marketable enough in the market? Like, let's say you've been in this career and you feel like you're stagnating. How can you beat that and ensure that you're growing and you're marketable enough, especially in this economy?
Well, the first thing I would say is identifying why are you stagnating, you know, because there are different reasons. It can be the organization that you're in doesn't provide you opportunities to grow. So you've just been doing the same thing over and over and over again. Like so you're not growing because there's nothing new that you're being able to do at your workplace.
Or maybe you're not being given that
or maybe that opportunity is not there. So it's either the kind of company you're in doesn't allow for you to do that, or maybe kuna watu wamekalia your opportunities in that particular organization. So if you identify what the problem is or what is causing the stagnation, then it's I guess dawa ya hiyo inakuanga tofauti. So the medicine for that is different. So if it's the organization that you're in, then switch organizations. If it is that the workplace has not given you enough responsibility, sometimes people are not given more responsibilities because they don't ask for it or they don't even show that initiative at work. Speak to your boss, speak to people, so that they can be able to know that actually you do want change, you do want to grow and stuff like that. Sometimes even the structure of the organization can be the limiting factor, that you're 5 of you in this particular department, there's only one person can grow to the next level, but you're 5. That means 4 out of the 5 of you will be stagnating there. And so in as much as you work so hard, there is nowhere for you to grow. Again, that one is for leaving the organization. Other times you might be stagnating because the skills that you have are not commensurate with what the market wants. And so you need to be able to figure out, because you're just there, you graduated in 2008, and now we're in 2024, your skills are just the same. The thing, all you have is years of experience, but you don't have the latest training and exposure and things like that. So I usually tell people, go to the job market and find out, look at jobs that you'd like to have. What are the things they're asking for? Do you meet that criteria? If the extra things they want you to do, start working on those things. Get the extra courses, go to networking events, so that you can be able to get those extra things. Sometimes you don't know that there are opportunities because you're not networking, you're not researching, you're just in your own little bubble. I must just work in Kirinyaga. That's where I've known, and I just want to, I don't know, I've picked Kirinyaga.
Kirinyaga
exactly, was just chilling, and here is Angie. You're just in that little bubble. There's so many other opportunities. Maybe you can even do the same thing you're doing online. Maybe you can even teach people. Maybe you can go into consulting. Maybe you can work in government. If you've been in government, you can work in private sector. You know, so just sometimes it's just being connected to people and places where you can get more information. Sometimes it could be a life issue. You might be, now you've just gotten married, you've just had kids, you're feeling like, oh, my career is stagnating. No, it's not stagnating. Other areas of your life are growing, and that's the priority. And then once those are settled, then you can now come back to this. Or maybe it could even be grief or something else that is happening. So identifying what the issue is will determine what the prescription will be for sorting that out. Okay,
amazing. And finally, talk about relationships in the workspace together. Like there are relationships, like as a HR, of course, which are thriving. Case an example, like let's say I'll give an example of Lulu Hassan and Rashid. You know how their relationship is so wonderful to watch. Like how is that? As in, like, even as a HR, talk about that.
All right. Well, I think as an HR, from the HR perspective, it's usually thinking about how to preserve the organization. Because if people are dating in the workplace, there's always the reality that that could go bad. And if it goes bad, it has an implication on the organization, because this person might decide to try and sabotage this other person. And you know, the costs can be really bad. You know, there are people who have even cancelled meetings on behalf of their significant other. Imagine, so you or I come and tell you, or maybe you're dating somebody, that person comes and tells you, oh, that client cancelled. You are just chilling in the office. Could be your client is there waiting, and then this person maybe has taken your client, or things happen like that. So from the HR perspective, it's always thinking, okay, one, I hope it works, but more importantly, how can I make sure that the information they have in the dockets they are managing are being covered also by other people, sort of, so that should anything go wrong, we are safe and secure. The other thing is usually issues to do with positions of power. So if people are reporting one to the other, it's very highly discouraged for you to start dating, because then the person who is in position of power might be using their position of power to do something, and the likelihood for what do you call it, suits of sexual harassment and those kinds of things are higher in those situations, because somebody will be like, no, he was my boss and he said I have to do this and this and the other. So those dynamics are usually an issue. What I usually tell people, from this other side though, I think that you can find love anywhere, and that's amazing. But you know, it's nice if the love is not necessarily in the workplace, to be honest.
But what if that is where...
If that's where it has come, that's amazing. But I think early on in your relationship, I think there should be a discussion about your work dynamic, in terms of if this thing should grow, or if this thing should go sour, who is going to take a step back, or who is going to move departments, or who is going to, you know, move to a different organization. Like just having that conversation prevents, you know, to my issues from forming in the workplace. I think having somebody in accountability sort of person, or even informing HR, so that they just know this is happening, I think is also beneficial in that dynamic. I think there's a lot we can say about that, but
it's okay.
But if love finds you there, then unakubali too. But I think with your eyes wide open, because anything can happen, and you don't want. And then there's also the dynamic of, because we're working in this space together, there are many things. Love can be a very strange thing. You can see your partner is talking to somebody else, but you're exactly. And yet it was just, they have always been working together, but now that you're dating, now you're starting to see, but it's very close to Sujusu, and so
there are pros and cons.
Nothing has changed, exactly. But have the discussion beforehand, and
Wow, amazing. Wow, I mean, we could go on and on and on because I mean, there's so much we could talk about, like, but let's just end it here and just let me just say that you're an amazing person. Like, it's so good to have found out these other things that, as in, it's so easy when you relate to someone face to face, you can get to know and tell who they are as a person. And I've loved this conversation. It's not like an interview, it's like a conversation. Nice. I've loved it. And just to say that you're doing an amazing job, and God continue blessing you and your children and all that you do. And thank you so much for coming on this episode in honor of Mother's Day. I salute you and I celebrate you and all the mothers in the world. And I have something here for you. I love something. And I hope that you like it. Happy Mother's Day. I already like it because it's just a gift and I didn't expect it. I know, it's a gift from Zawadi. So I've given you with all my heart, and I hope you love it, just to appreciate you and say thank you. Yeah, so any final shot that you would like to tell your people and where they can find you, you can. Here's your chance. Now you just made me happy. I was just trying to be a G here, guys, but I'm just like a softie inside. Thank you so much for this. You're most welcome. Yeah, my cheeks are even paining. Wow. But thank you so much. Thank you for this platform. Thank you for the invitation. Yeah. Thank you for the conversation. And thank you for the work that you're doing. It's incredible. I mean, there's so much negativity online. There's so much with the way technology has allowed so many people, so many voices. There's been a lot of negativity, but for you to choose to be a positive space and a space where people can be inspired, to be helped, to feel seen, to know that, by the way, I'm not by myself and it's happening for somebody else. I think it's incredible. Thank you so much. And I'm a subscriber. I just want to tell people, it's not that I just say, please subscribe, guys. What is it? As in, what is it? Don't be toxic. Thank you. Don't be a monitoring spirit. You're just coming here to watch videos and you're not subscribing. It doesn't cost anything. I know. It won't even take a second of your time. Exactly. So please subscribe. So thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored that hopefully somebody can be able to learn something from my story. Yes, and for every mom there, you're doing great. You're doing great. God does nothing by chance. Like, there's nothing God does that is random at all. Nothing. Everything is planned to a T. Like, just to a T. And the children that you have, biological or otherwise, God chose you to be the mom. Like, he was like, this personality, this volume. You're the one who because maybe you're just a soft-spoken person, or you're very loud. Whatever it is, God chose that specification for you to be able to steward these children in their time on earth. And so, even you, congratulations on your children. Thank you so much. Congratulations. I'll just say, I celebrate your motherhood. Thank you so much. I just pray that God will continue to give you more grace. Yes. And just even the days when it's hard, remember that that God knew and God chose you. Like, he could have done anybody else. He's just like, no, but he chose I want her. She's the one for your children. Thank you so much. And you're doing a great job. Thank you so much, continue, keep pushing on, don't give up. They're hard days, but they're also very, very joyful days in the journey. Yeah. Wow, thank you. And where can people find you? You can find me on Instagram primarily at Angie Obwaka. You can find me on my YouTube channel, which is Angie Obwaka as well. You can find me on Facebook as well, on X, on TikTok. On TikTok, doing a lot more silly things, not very formal and organized like here, but Angie Obwaka. And she also has a platform where, in case you're looking for a job, where people on WhatsApp, we have a WhatsApp channel that we post job opportunities free of charge. Please join. Because again, people thriving and people finding opportunities is something that I'm very passionate about. True. Wow, that's been so awesome. Thank you so much for coming, and I celebrate you, and thank you so much. So guys, thank you. If you've made it to the end of this video, may God bless you, and I hope you get to learn a thing or two from this conversation. I celebrate you all mothers, and I wish every mother a happy Mother's Day, even the aspiring mothers to be. May God continue blessing you and everything that you do, and I hope you continue subscribing. If you've not subscribed and this is the channel, the only show that you get to bump into, please subscribe and tell your friends about it, and hope to see you onto my next video. Thank you guys, and have a nice time.